is up, everyone? Have ourselves another banger from Cash Jordan. You're going to want to hear this. And we may have it from others too.
We want ICE out of our district. We want them out of our state. We want this terror to stop. The lives of people are being interrupted, and it is not justifiable for the president to target our state.
So, in order to defend fraud, Minnesota's mobs are taking to the streets with the backing of their sanctuary leaders who say they want peace, but are totally inciting something else, which to many looks like a full-on insurrection taking place on the street.
They're not defending just fraud. They're defending all kinds of they're defending the entire Liberal Party. The very party that nearly destroyed our country. The Democratic Party, guys, is losing support because of their actions lately, interfering with our rights as citizens, emasculating men and putting women in power only, to the point where even women where a lot of these liberal women treat men like dirt because they now feel so entitled. It's ridiculous.
Streets of Minnesota and in the minds of the brainwashed, with help from paid armies of agitators, all to protect illegal fugitives and scam artists who may soon be in jail for ripping off our country.
Can we ask you about the daycare? It's alright. Can we ask you about the daycare? $2.25 million.
Get out, you guys, get out.
You all have decided that this resistance is not one that can be intimidated. We are showing the nation that regardless of what the tyrant in the White House believes, this is our country.
Extremely angry agitators try to smash their way into the...
That was Ilhan Omar making that speech. The very woman who incited this, with the help of Tim Walz. And Tim and my second cousin, Tim Kaine, has yet to say anything about it. He knows it's going on. He knows our country's on the way to civil war, and he knows that the Democratic Party is responsible. But he doesn't care. They are inciting a full-on civil war. And if things succeed for them, it'll start in Minnesota. And our country will fall apart. We cannot let this happen. Even our president is about to send in the Marines. At least 1,000 Marines. And those people know how to fight against the larger force. They had to learn that big time.
weapons locker and may have gotten their hands on bullets and at least one gun. People were damaging cars, smashing windows, spray painting them.
You know, they want to tell people to go ahead and protest, but what they're literally doing is encouraging more violence, whether it's our governor, Tim Walz, who's been a complete failure. But in this case, you don't have to go very far to look and see who is fomenting all of this violence. And to claim that these people are peaceful, Charlie, they're yelling, "Save a life, ICE."
It's licensed for...
Tim Walz isn't failing as a governor. He's already failed. He's now so disgraced. He is just straight up disgraced as a governor.
I don't see any footprints of any children here.
You literally cannot make this up. Look at this right here. The people at the center of this fraud scandal, they're the ones saying Figuring out what's going on is a waste of money. And what nobody's talking about is when we hear nonsense like this from Representative Omar, from Governor Walz, or any other sanctuary politician out there, these people are not preaching politics. Oh no. Instead, the rebellious socialists of America are fighting for their very survival, because with each box of evidence extracted from another fake daycare or health center, the American people grow more and more outraged over the plundering of their future. And what's crazy about this is these same socialists are trying to win the 2026 midterm elections on an affordability crisis they and their fraudsters created and continue to enable, which started 4 years ago with a wide open border that robbed legal residents of the opportunity to buy homes and find jobs, making life unaffordable, something sanctuary cities still do by harboring fugitives. Meanwhile, the same money that's supposed to provide childcare and health care for struggling Americans working 2 or more jobs is winding up in the hands of those who hate our country, and in some cases aren't here legally either. But that brings us to the real reason these mobs are just taking over Minnesota, threatening to start a civil war that sweeps over our entire country. These people, they're defending crime because it is the platform of their very existence and of their power, which explains why they spend the evenings storming downtown offices, destroying hotels, and surrounding the local ICE facility, while following around federal agents 24/7 to try and free folks who broke our laws to get here and stay here and do not improve America because they're criminals. Meanwhile, the fraud schemes here, they're still happening. We're discovering more of them every single day.
My name is Nick Shirley. We're just looking for advanced mobility. Where's advanced mobility at?
We don't care about advanced mobility.
That's what we're asking for. All right, we're looking for advanced mobility. Nobody can help us right now.
Someone asked for
We got a
help.
whole group
First
of
thing
people
they
trying to
says,
get us out of here.
we don't care about
We're looking
that.
for advanced mobility.
We don't care about advanced mobility.
Advanced mobility doesn't exist.
So as Nick Shirley just showed us, you go into a shopping center, it's supposed to be full of these businesses, in this case a mobility company that's getting...
You can ask them for help. They're not going to care. They're just going to say, we don't care about that. Just further proof of what the kind of monsters the left is. This is all the left, guys, starting this conflict. Angry at the fact that Trump won, angry at the fact that he's literally targeting anyone who would dare insult our country with frauds, things like that. Those Somalians need to go. The people defending them need to go. These Somalians making fake daycares and health centers. And it's obvious those things are fake because no one's going. There's no one attending. There are no kids in the daycares. There are no client lists at the health centers that they've opened up. And it's led to a housing crisis for a lot of people. Because these people have bought houses too. And we have idiots in Minnesota. We have these people in Minnesota actively fighting against federal agents. And now the Marines are about to be sent in. This is turning into a civil war. All because two political parties, because one political party doesn't want to shut up and get along with the other. And actually start looking out for the general population. Instead, they want to defend fraud. They want to defend the emasculation of men. It's ridiculous. They also want to defend taking away our rights. The left has become a socialist party.
Money from the government to exist and to operate, and nobody seems to know where it is. And the people who might know where it is, well, they certainly don't want some guy with a camera figuring out where it is, so they're trying to get rid of him. This is crazy. And meanwhile, we've got the governor of this very same state that says he's on top of it. No, he's not. And what about Representative Omar?
Republicans have repeatedly stated that you committed immigration fraud. Are you at all worried about a formal investigation that could perhaps lead to your deportation?
Are you one of those people?
Look at that. She's
I don't know what that means, but are you at all concerned?
Do I look concerned?
I guess not.
She should be concerned.
What about the Minnesota fraud hearing? You didn't show up for that. Do you think you should have?
Why should
She should be concerned about being not only deported, but possibly put behind bars in her own country. She's a monster. Immigration fraud, everyone. Her doing. Ilhan Omar. A politician who's supposed to be looking out for us and our country. But that representative just refuses to look out for anyone but except her own, refuses to look out for anything other than her own political beliefs and what she thinks we should be doing.
Talk about dodging accountability. She's running away from the very affordability crisis.
She's not running away from anything. She genuinely believes that stupid shit. That's where Cash Jordan is wrong.
Her party has created. You have an affordability crisis when you open the border. You have an affordability crisis when you take the money that's supposed to help people afford their lives and give it to fraudsters. But now the question is, why is she out there riding around in the back of a pickup truck rallying the mobs?
How about Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar? In February of this year, she shot down claims.
It's a good question on Cash Jordan's part. Why is she out there on the back of a pickup truck inciting rallying up the mobs? Simple. She wants them to keep fighting. She wants to turn this into something bigger. And she wants it to keep growing until the left gets what they want, until the socialists get what they want. But it's not going to happen. Not when we have Trump in office.
That she's actually a millionaire.
Oh, yeah?
She wrote, my salary is $174,000 before taxes. I don't have stock or own a home. And I'm still paying off my student debt. So if you're going to lie on something that is public, maybe try checking my financial statements, and you will see I barely have thousands, let alone
she says
millions.
She's broke.
Well, people have checked the public records now. Ilhan Omar apparently has a net worth upwards of
Look
30.
at that. She's been caught in her own lie about herself. Ooh. Ooh. But here's the thing, you can't run for office in any way and fund this stuff without being a millionaire. She is paying those people out there in Minnesota to agitate. As is Tim Walz.
$30 million.
That's a lot of money.
Somewhere between $60 and $30 million. And get this, it's because of companies run and owned by her husband, who in 2023...
Good to know. Her husband
had a net worth of $51,000.
Wow.
In 1 year, that $51,000 grew from $6 to $30 million. 3,500% growth.
I mean, if that isn't something that deserves investigation, I don't know what is. What a great business plan. Marry a politician who then helps you get rich. I guess this is why we see her out there stoking tensions, because if people start looking into this...
And that's where he's wrong. She's not doing it for money. She's not doing it to make money. She's doing it to shut down the Republican. She's doing it to shut everything. She's doing it to get the Socialist Party to get what they want. By, for starts, launching a civil war, shutting down everything in our country until the Republicans agree, which is never going to happen. This woman, and excuse my language everyone, as far as I'm concerned, is an absolute bitch.
Could they find something? And are these mobs out there to stop an investigation? Are they out there really as foot soldiers of this regime, this fraud regime, to protect it and make sure nobody discovers what's going on, to potentially turn the American people's minds against the idea of ICE being anywhere?
Our governor is saying, you know, we're at war.
Problem of it is, we already know what's going on. It's fraud. They're committing fraud.
Or with the federal government.
Yeah.
He claims that he can call the National Guard out. You know, they want to tell people to go ahead and protest, but what they're literally doing is encouraging more violence, whether it's our governor, Tim Walz, who's been a complete failure, or...
Right, that's exactly what's happening. They're saying they're at war with the federal government, and these are the same people who are potentially being investigated, and in Tim Walz's case, definitely being looked at under a microscope. We're literally witnessing a criminal empire fight for its very survival. That's why they're not denouncing any of this stuff. That's why they're keeping these fraud armies on the streets, stoking violence, telling them that they're not alone.
A socialist empire that thinks it can get away with anything. Just like the USSR. But look what's happening now. They're having to fight for their very survival. The very survival of that little empire of theirs. And even then, it's failing. Instead of accepting this, they're choosing to keep fighting and causing as much chaos as possible, threatening the safety of everyone in Minnesota. Oh, and by the way, it's not the only place that's currently under attack. ICE facilities in California, in Portland, Oregon, and in probably multiple other states are currently under attack by paid socialist agitators.
Telling them that they've got the backing of law enforcement and their governor and their representatives, and we're all behind you, and you're out there defending and protecting your neighbors, as if the illegal alien criminals who recently attacked law enforcement and are here and are possibly connected to a Venezuelan gang are your neighbors. They're not your neighbors. They came into the country without permission. They just got here. That's not your neighbor. And they're here at the expense of the law-abiding.
Right.
Neighbors don't come into a community and plunder that community somehow by bringing illegal activity to it or committing crime in it and making it unsafe. That's not very neighborly. And it's also not neighborly for people to run fraudulent businesses that steal money intended for the law-abiding to just use it to line their own pockets, and that's the other half of the...
Notice the way they were covering those windows there like that? They didn't want anyone seeing what was going on inside. These people know what they're doing is wrong. They just don't care. And they don't want law enforcement to find out because they know law enforcement is going to come after them.
The thing that's being defended here. The last thing the sanctuary leaders of this place want is for fraud schemes to keep popping up, keep getting uncovered. Little mobility companies, little fake daycares, little fake treatment centers. Because every single one of them...
If that were me, I wouldn't have held back. I would have forced that door open the hard way. And I probably would have dragged those idiots out of there to the nearest ICE facility.
One of those that gets discovered is being run by somebody who's living very well off the backs of everyone else in this country. But now there's talk that the president might have to use the Insurrection Act to restore order in Minnesota, because look at who it is that these mobs are defending. These are the three guys.
Are in custody for what the Trump administration
These are the three guys
is now
that attacked
calling
the
attempted
agent.
murder. This ICE agent
I wanna
was
know what the
executing
Insurrection
a
Act
targeted operation against a Venezuelan.
I never heard of the Insurrection Act. The Insurrection Act. The Insurrection Act of 1807, or just the Insurrection Act, is the U.S. federal law that empowers the President of the United States to nationally deploy the U.S. Armed Forces and federalize the National Guard units of the individual states in specific circumstances, such as the suppression of civil disorder, of insurrection, and of armed rebellion against the federal government. Basically, because of what's going on, the president now has every right to send in the military and the entire National Guard. These people are screwed because of what they've chosen to do. So I'm going to say this now. If you don't want that happening to you, don't do it. Do not go out there and start committing violence, because it'll happen to you.
Illegal alien who was unlawfully present in the country. They used a shovel or a broom. And so, yes, that agent had to use self-defense and take up his weapon to protect his own life. That is what's happening on the streets of Minneapolis. That's what's happening on the streets, unfortunately, of these Democrat-run cities and states where you have elected officials who are encouraging such violence against our brave men and women in law enforcement.
A person's not your neighbor if they came into the country without permission and then they're willing to attack the police who are there to keep your community safe. We need to just get that out there, because that's what's happening. But there's something else going on here. What we're witnessing with these mobs is a hodgepodge of left field interests all coalescing around a common goal, and that would be resisting the federal government. And who are these groups? That would be Antifa, that would be the Open Borders cartel-funded mobs, that would be the hostile insurgents, some of whom are perhaps here illegally, all fighting to stop law enforcement from capturing them and tracking them down and catching them in their tracks, committing even more fraud that we still don't even know about yet. Yet we're supposed to watch these events unfolding on the streets of a major city, and we're supposed to think to ourselves, oh yeah, these are just normal people that got in their car and they were just gonna go get some McDonald's Happy Meals and bring them home to their family and have a wonderful day. And you know, they saw some military troops that were out there doing something. They were arresting somebody, and without any evidence, they just decided that because someone's getting arrested by law enforcement that there must be a grave injustice happening. So they drove their car straight at those people and tried to intervene and get involved in a situation they know absolutely nothing about. And oh, how heroic, and oh, how they're sticking up for their neighbors when they don't even know who that person was. I mean, this is what we're being told to believe, but this is what we're seeing unfold. It's a total lie. In fact, the defense of this fraud.
All right, guys, we're going to see it from, I hope you guys found this video informative. Because honestly, look at this. Look at what's going on out there, and look at how bad it looks. Anyways, that's about all.